Salutations, everyone. It's 10 p.m. right now, and I was slowly getting ready for bed. But then I came up with an idea. Tomorrow's my first day at my undergraduate research lab, and I thought it'd be a fun idea if I maybe document my process. I'm doing research at a neuroscience lab at a medical college, and I'm dealing with my excruciating imposter syndrome and hoping that I do not burn the lab down tomorrow. Now for tomorrow, I'm just doing a basic introduction on how to prepare cell cultures. So I'm slowly packing my belongings so I'm prepared. You have your essentials. Lab coat. The goggles. A dedicated notebook for the lab. Ibuprofen because I'm bound to get a migraine. Now overall, I do believe that tomorrow will be a victorious day, and I'll master some of these cell cultures, but I think I'll run into some challenges first, just because it's been quite some time since I really did a lot of intensive wet lab work with COVID and whatnot. But sometimes that is just a process of higher knowledge, higher education, so I'm embracing it. I will accept the outcome of tomorrow. Hopefully you guys enjoy this shit show, and good luck to all of you budding scientists out there who are in my shoes right now, trying to just make it in the big research world.
Now every morning when I wake up, it's the chariots of fire. Since my roommate wakes up at the same time as me, I'm running at Mach speed to the bathroom to beat him. The first thing I do is jump into my skincare routine. I have very dry skin, so I always make sure I lather myself with hyaluronic acid before I go out in public. Then I return to my room to untangle my stupidly long hair. I make sure to change out of the clothes I slept in. My goal was to look as unassuming as possible, so I put on blue jeans and a gray cardigan. I was supposed to meal prep some tofu scramble the night before, but honestly I was too lazy and didn't do it. This becomes an important plot point as I go along the rest of the day being voraciously hungry. I lather some sunscreen to my face and I begin heading out to my automobile. During my walk, I greet the birds, the bees, the squirrels, the vast biome of microorganisms in the air. I think being a courteous neighbor is a virtue that has been lost in our times. I hop in my car, ready to take on the day. I pull up a periphery playlist on Spotify because I am in some need for 7-string guitar hype music. Behold, I have made it to the parking garage. Now this is approximately the moment where I realize that I probably can't film much, since I'm technically at a hospital and there are privacy laws. I do not want to feel the wrath of the Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights. Now I did take this brief sexy footage of the laboratory, but due to legal reasons, I'll be just explaining what I did today. Alright, so the star-shaped shit right here is called an astrocyte. They're a type of cell in the nervous system, but the main point here is that they're really fucking hard to manage in the lab. They look flat as fuck under a microscope. Unless you have 200 out of 20 vision, you're probably going to have a hard time seeing them. The lab technician had already taken out the astrocytes out of mice brain. My job was to properly learn the technique where I plate these cells in these circular things and make sure these cells grow nice and strong by next week. Now, for the most part, I just shadowed my lab technician, so I barely even touched anything in the lab. But the one thing I can say for sure is, holy shit, it's really fucking hard to keep things sterile. I'm a chemistry major, so most of the battles in lab classes have been not burning my hand with sulfuric acid. Never had to care much about biological contamination. At one point, I took out a Sharpie out of the biosafety cabinet to label a flask and put it back in the cabinet once I finished. All I can say is that I got my ass roasted by my technician. I was also hungry as shit the entire time since I didn't eat anything for breakfast, and I was ready to sprint to the cafeteria with my lunch voucher. But overall, the cell culture plates were a success, and I was told to return in a couple of days to officially begin my first experiment. At this rate, I'm violently hungry, so I go down to the cafeteria and purchase AFC sushi, a college staple. Now earlier today, I had heard that a vegan burger place in my area was selling vegan Twinkies just for today. Although I have crippling anxiety parallel parking on a busy street, I know I had to get these Twinkies today. So I drove my ass downtown for some post-sushi dessert. To avoid parallel parking on the busier street, I intentionally parked a 10-minute walk away. Behold, it is downtown Albany. I'm immediately in a good mood because I'm greeted by a PBR truck. Some of my favorite businesses are in this area, so I take some time to walk around and embrace my surroundings before I go into the restaurant for my Twinkies. I initially just went for Twinkies, but when I looked at the menu, I saw that they had a sweet potato dessert with chocolate glaze, marshmallows, and maple syrup. I had to try it out. The Twinkie was absolutely delicious, and I devoured the whole thing in one bite. Now, as for the sweet potatoes, I decided to walk to a nice park. I was in the mood to sit outside and have a nice snack. I tend to be an indoor hermit during busy times in my life, so I make a conscious effort to go outside whenever I have downtime, even if it means just eating a snack at a park. The sweet potatoes are absolutely scrumptious. I am very pleased with my purchase. This is the point where I realized I completely forgot that I had a meeting at 4 p.m. on Zoom. I stopped dilly-dallying at the park and head to my car so I can make it to my meeting on time. I place my phone near the dashboard. I sit through a lecture discussing the significance of using both male and female experimental groups during neuroscience research. I honestly had a pretty hard time concentrating at this point in the day because I was pretty exhausted. I was ready to drive back home. On my way back home, I acquired some refined liquid hydrocarbons for my automobile. Since I had satisfied myself with a delicious Twinkie and delicious sweet potatoes, it was only courteous of me to also treat my automobile. As I finished the last couple of tracks on my Periphery playlist, I had arrived home. Overall, I was satisfied with my performance for the day. If I had to improve one thing, I would have certainly meal prepped the tofu scramble beforehand. I believe that having eaten a high-protein breakfast would have greatly enhanced my cell culturing performance. I begin to head back inside my home. I change into comfortable clothes just so I can potato for the rest of the day.